I like to use a few psychological tricks when selling on eBay. There are 3 main ones that I like to keep in my toolbox. In this video, I'm gonna tell you what are these tricks, explain each and every one of them, and explain to you how you can use those in your very own eBay selling account. But before we dive in, let's start with a few questions from the community. John right here is asking us, do you keep receipts from garage sales for taxes? That's a very good question, John. When you buy things secondhand, you don't usually get receipts. I mean, every time you go to a garage sale, you're buying something and you know the person is just someone who is just selling stuff that they have lying around in their house. They will never give you a receipt. But there's something we can do about this. I just track the prices that I pay, whether it's a notebook, a spreadsheet on my phone or my laptop, or using an app to track that. You don't need anything fancy, just consider having records. This helps a lot during tax season. That's the time when you want to lower your taxable income as much as possible. And you can do that by deducing your cost of goods, shipping, fees, packaging, transportation, so on and so forth. You can basically deduce anything. Samantha is asking us, how long have you been selling on eBay for? Well, to be honest, I started doing this in 2016, so that's close to 9 years. I started way back when online payment processors were a thing, and for me, everything was brand new. In 2016, I felt like I was lost in a really big world. Over time, it became more consistent and much more serious for me. And also, it's been a long journey of testing, learning, and of course, optimizing my stores and what products do I sell. Let's dive a bit into that actually. This week, I had solid sales with a really high ROI. My return on investment was close to 600%. That is absolutely insane. In a traditional e-commerce environment, you cannot do something like this. So how I was able to pull it off? Well, this week I listed 31 items and I sold 20 of them. Although it might sound good, this is below average for me. So you might be wondering, how am I doing this? How am I able to pull off such nice numbers and sell so much of my inventory every single week? For those of you who are experiencing lower sales nowadays, don't panic. eBay has been a bit slower lately for everybody. I personally know a lot of resellers that are experiencing the same exact thing. That's just part of the game. Some weeks are just slower. Most of my sales are coming from items that I bought at very low prices and I resold them at high premium margins. Let me give you an example. For example, I was lucky enough to find this McDonald's 1995 Batman and Robin mug. It's a complete set of 4 glass vintage cups from McDonald's. Now the seller was asking $35 and I was able to bring it out to $15. They didn't really care about these, so they just gave them to me and I managed to sell them for $65, which gives me a profit of $50. This is another example of a product that I sold. It's a vintage Harley Davidson mug. I got 5 of these mugs for $10. So that means $2 per mug and I managed to sell it for $15, giving me a profit of $13 for this mug alone. Now, I didn't sell the rest of the 4 mugs, but I probably will. This is another great example. This is a vintage lighter. It looks like it's golden. The initial condition was rougher, so I had to polish it a bit. I paid $5 for it and I sold it for $35, leaving me with a profit of $30. Now, the reason why I was able to get it for so cheap is that I also got the McDonald's mugs from this guy and he gave me a good deal on everything. So as you can see, most of my items are just cheap items, vintage items that I got for very low prices, and I was able to flip them off with a very high profit margin compared to the price that I paid for it. Now, of course, for some of y'all, if you get something for $5 and sell it for $15, that's only a $10 profit. It's not a lot of money if you think about it that way. But if you think in terms of mathematics, I sold something for 3 times the price that I got it for, which is a very, very good deal. That is the key to a high return on investment. Finding undervalued stuff, and by undervalued, I mean the owner of the product doesn't know what it's his real worth, and reselling it when there's demand. Greg right here is asking me, how do you check the prices of the products that you're buying without being awkward? Now, I don't always check the prices. What Greg is referring to is the fact that when people go to garage sales with the purpose of reselling products, all they do is take the product and hide themselves in a corner and just take a picture of the product, and they look for the product on eBay or other platforms just to see for how much are they selling for, so that they can get a glimpse of the profit that they can make out of that product. Of course, this whole process is a bit awkward, to be honest, because the owner of the garage sale will look at you like, oh, what is this guy doing? What are you doing there, buddy? So that's why I don't usually do this. To be honest, when I'm going to garage sales, I'm looking for steals. I'm looking for something that's really cheap that I can just purchase on the spot with cash and I can resell later on. And usually when I'm buying something, it's in the range of anywhere between $5 and $15 to $20. something like that. That leaves me with a big profit margin if I want to resell that. But most importantly, I don't have to embarrass myself and take pictures of products and just, hide myself doing that. I'm just casually buying stuff. And if you're gonna lose that money, you're gonna lose like $2 or $5 or $10, which is not a lot of money anyways. Greg is also asking us if we do tell garage sale owners that we are flippers, that we are resellers. That's a very good question, Greg, and yes, I actually do this. There's a pretty big discrepancy about what people say, because usually resellers will never say that. They want to be like an undercover cop. But for me, it's my own personal opinion. Every time I go into a garage sale, I introduce myself and I tell them that I am a reseller. This has put me in a lot of advantageous situations because lots of times people just know who I am. I'm gonna give them my phone number and they know who I am. They know that I'm a reseller, so anytime they want to sell something that's lying around their house and they want to get rid of it, they will just give me a call and ask me if I want to buy that product before even selling it in any kind of garage sales. This is a very big advantage for me because I get to know about vintage products way before anybody else. So yeah, I personally recommend you to introduce yourself and tell them that you are a reseller. Even if you don't want to do it on the spot, if they ask you, you can tell them. Greg has another question. What niche is the best right now? Now, this is a pretty tricky question. It's like asking what car is the best or what food is the best. There's no such thing as the best car or the best food in the world. This is all subjective, but in my opinion, right now, one niche that I would be really interested in is the vintage niche or the discontinued items niche. Whether it's collectibles, apparel, household goods, even underwear, I don't care. If it's vintage, it's gonna sell because people are gonna look after that. There are a lot of people that are really interested in vintage stuff and we wanna be there to provide that for them. Why am I attracted about this vintage niche? Well, it's really simple. It's because it's limited, especially the discontinued ones. You cannot find any more of those. There are no more discontinued items in circulation. There are no more discontinued items on the market right now. So if you get your hands on something that's discontinued, you are probably the only person in the world who has access to that specific product. This gives you a big leverage and leaves you with a big room to jiggle with the product. You can sell it for high margins. Now we have an anonymous user here that's asking us, I have over 1,500 listings and my sales are going really slow. Why is that? Well, to be honest, the truth is that you are selling in a highly saturated market. So by definition, you are going to experience lower sale volumes. And the fact that you have a lot of items to sell, it's a good thing, but also it's not important at the same time because it doesn't matter how many items you have for sale if people are not interested in buying those items from you. So overall, listing more items will definitely help, but the real fix is just sourcing better inventory and selling it to people who are more willing to buy them from you. And again, I'm gonna give you some examples. Mugs, kitchenware, vintage clothing, quirky household items. They can sell very well, especially if they are from recognizable brands. Do you know how big of a profit margin you can get on any vintage Nike, Adidas, Puma? It doesn't matter. If it has a big brand, you can resell it for a huge price. For example, if you just write vintage Nike shoes, you can see that they are being sold for $4,000 to $5,000 a pair, only because they are vintage. So there's a lot of opportunity right there. You can just go ahead and get it, and it's pretty easy to find shoes that are just like these ones in any garage sale. Of course, you're not gonna find it in your first try, but you have a pretty good chance to find something like this in your first, let's say, 10 garage sales. Another common question that I'm getting is, should you ship to a different address after someone purchased the product? Now, this is a good question because this is a pretty well-known scam. Scammers are gonna use stolen credit cards and they're gonna put the address of the credit card on the shipping address. Scammers are gonna use stolen credit cards and they're gonna purchase goods from you and they're gonna put the shipping address the same as the address of the physical credit card. This will not raise any kind of suspicions and you will basically get a green check mark. But before sending the product, right after placing the order, they will tell you that they need the product in a different state, in a totally different address, which is their original address. And if you do that, you are going to get hit with a chargeback, and you never want something like that. So what I'm doing in this case, I just tell them that eBay does not allow me to do that, and if they want to, I can just relist the item for them, I can give them a refund, and they can purchase it again and use the correct address. This way they just give up and they don't want to continue with the process anymore. And of course, this is a harmless lie. eBay does allow you to change the address, but you don't want to do this for scammers or for people that have bad intentions. Now guys, let's not forget, why are we here? Why are you watching this video right now? So let's break down my favorite pricing strategies. They have helped me tremendously throughout my seller career, and these little tricks can actually make a huge difference because buyers will perceive your product in a different way every single time you price your product accordingly. First of all, we have the left digit bias. This one is super common. Everybody uses this because it works. Instead of pricing something at a clean $20, you just go with $19.99. Why is that, you might be asking? Well, because our brains read from left to right, and the first digit is what really sticks. Our brain can already know what's next, they only need to see the first digit. So they will see a 1 instead of a 2. And even though it's just a penny difference, $19.99 feels cheaper than 20. And any buyer's brain will process this as something in the 10s rather than in the 20s. And we all know that 10 is lower than 20. This trick is used everywhere. Even Walmart uses this trick, and they are one of the biggest brands on the planet. So if Walmart uses this trick, why shouldn't you? Next up, we have prestige pricing. Now this one flips the script a bit. Let's say you're selling a high-end item, something rare, luxury, or even in high demand. If you price this item too low, thinking that it will sell faster, you might actually scare people off. Buyers might assume it's either fake, either damaged, or just not the real deal. With premium items, it's way better to price with confidence. Think about it. If you will post a Rolex watch for $500, I think nobody would ever buy it because everybody would know it's a fake Rolex. And just so you understand me, a Rolex averages anywhere between like $8,000 on the low end to like $40,000, $50,000. So if it's worth more, price it like it's worth more. You're not just selling a random product, you are selling the perceived value of that product. Let me give you just a few random examples here. For example, this Supreme jacket is a vintage jacket. Its perceived value is close to $3,000. Now, why is that, you might be asking? This is just a normal jacket that's probably anywhere between $40 to $50 on average. But no, they are selling it for $3,000 because that's the perceived value. Same with this one. It's from the 90s with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's $2,500. This one is a rare authentic Supreme Mitchell & Ness Hennessy jersey. Okay, $2,000. You see, people are selling based on the perceived value, not on the real value of the product. And you can take advantage of this and make big profits. And finally, we have the precision pricing. This one is subtle but powerful. Instead of rounding up to $99 or $100, you can use a very specific number. For example, $103.74. Why is that, you might be asking? Well, it's really easy because the buyers will think that you've made your homework. It gives the impression that you've carefully calculated the market price and every single little detail that's involved in calculating a price of a product, and you came up with the final result of $103.74. This kind of precision builds trust. It signals the buyer that this is not just a random price, it's intentional. And on top of that, it can also help your listing stand out from other listings because people's brain are used to seeing 99.99 or 89.95 or something like that, and they will just scroll past that and they will stop at your offer because it will get their attention at $103.74. So guys, try these pricing tricks for yourself and see what works best for you. In my opinion, left digit pricing works the best. It works like a charm. But the other pricing methods just depend on the type of product that you're selling. Before ending this video, I want to let you know that not every flip is a win. Some items will disappoint you, even if they looked promising. That's the curve of learning. The key is to never give up and continue trying every single day. Carefully track what works for you, apply that every single time, and use that information that you got to source a better product next time. This is what makes the difference between a good eBay seller and a bad one. And I know for sure that you're in the good category. Guys, thank you for watching. If you consider this helpful, please consider subscribing to our channel. Like this video if you've enjoyed it because you will greatly help us with the YouTube algorithm and you will get notified every time we're posting videos just like this one. Let me know in the comments what was your biggest win ever and I will personally respond to that. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, have an amazing day. Bye-bye.